Hello and welcome to the Johncast, the podcast for cool and smart kids. This is your oasis from homework, vegetables, and your parents. I heard this evil, cruel prank on the internet. Do you have a sister who's addicted to her phone all the time? And she's constantly looking at her email? Well, you can't spam her text, but you can spam her email. There's this site I heard of on the internet called revengetool.com. And basically, you enter your sister's email into the form, and bam, it's on spammers' lists all of a sudden. It's pretty evil. You'll get in tons of trouble. Your siblings might kill you. Please think twice before doing this super evil prank. Or if you don't want to get spanked, then you could just wrap rubber bands all around the phone. It'll take about 30 rubber bands, but it's pretty fun. John's Pranks is not responsible for any damage done to Box because of said pranks. But wait, I have one more prank for you. I call it the best way to eat Jell-O in public. Okay, first prepare some lemon Jell-O. Then get one of those sterile cup things the doctors use to put your pee in. Order one online if you don't have one. But anyway, put the Jell-O in the cup. Go into public, like, I don't know, on a train or something. Pull out a spoon. Start eating it right from the cup. This is one of the few jokes you can play on strangers without getting in serious trouble. In fact, chances are your parents won't even spank you that bad for doing this. Also, you can do this with apple juice too, which is also pretty funny. Just make sure the cup you're drinking from is sterile before you use it. So, as I was going to tell you, I'm going to have a special guest today on our show. He will be here in just a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you our riddle of the week. Here is the most difficult, perplexing riddle I've ever heard. What English word has 3 consecutive double letters? Our special guest has arrived. Let's welcome Alexander from New York City.
Hello, I'm Alexander, and I recently moved to New York from Australia, and I'm happy to be on John's podcast today.
Great. So Alexander, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, like what you like to do, how old you are, etc.?
Well, in terms of hobbies, I like my sport. So in Australia, we play this almost fantastical game that you could hardly imagine here in America called rugby, and that's my favorite sport. What do I like to do as well? It's hard to say because as we've moved here, lots of things have changed. But I have to say, it's fun going for walking in Central Park, so yeah.
So I've lived in London for a year, and I think by rugby is a little bit more of an Australian version of the sport us Americans love and know, football. So that's nice. So what else do you like to do, Alexander?
Well, in Australia, I used to go swimming a heap, and when we got here, there's not many beaches. I mean, sure, you can get to one by taking a train that'll take you about an hour or so, but it's not as warm over here, and during the Christmas period, we'd usually be getting a nice warm days in Australia, so we'd go to the beach probably for Christmas, surprisingly, and have no white Christmases ever. So I do love my swimming, that's fun. So we found a pool near us, and we're signed up for that. And yeah, I love playing music as well. I love my singing. I was recently back to Australia to participate in a choir, and I play a rather interesting instrument called the bassoon, which you might not have heard of, but I love playing that. It's my favorite instrument in the whole wide world apart from my voice. So, any other questions, John?
So I'd like to know one more thing about you. How do you like New York so far, since you've just moved here?
Well, being just turned 12, it's a big experience. It's noisy, it's crowded, it's action-packed, and there's a lot of things going on in the city. To think that coming from Australia, which is rather peaceful in comparison, I used to think some places would be busy there. Yeah, this has sort of been a big transformation of where I used to live. So I'm enjoying it. I mean, I miss all my friends, and I've made a few friends. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on your podcast today, but I'm really enjoying it here in New York, and I'm getting a lot out of it. So thank you very much for...
It's fan email time.
You've got mail.
Hi John, this is Jack from London. I have been looking at your website and my question to you is how do you organise your time? You seem to be achieving a lot and using your time really well.
I think Jack wants to know how I get so much done in a small amount of time. My secret to productivity. Well, Jack, I don't play video games or watch TV. And if you spend about, 1 or 2 hours playing video games or watching TV a day, and you stop doing it, then you can get a lot more done in those 1 to 2 hours you've just saved. And you can work on things too. You have a lot more time to work on your website. Like I have my website at homeschoolsun.com. Check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. And once you stop playing video games and watching TV, then bam, you'll be a lot more productive with your time. And that is how I have a lot of time and I manage it really well. Also, aside from not playing any video games or watching any TV, I've never actually gone to school. And one of the perks of this is I can spend as much time on my podcast as I want. And I have a lot more freedom. So I can work on my podcast. And speaking of freedom, in a week or two, I'm going to Florida for a whole month. Yep, you heard that right. Whole month. Do you like to play hide and go seek? Do you like to scare people? Well, then I have the perfect prank for you. So basically, you hide in a little bit of an obvious spot. Then, when the seeker comes around, you jump out and scare them. They'll scream, it'll be funny. You will be found, technically, so make sure you are not the first person to be found. Today, I would like to share with you the findings of an insect scientist who studied cockroaches.
No!
Cockroaches are an insect that has survived since the beginning of time. They can slide under anything. If you took a hammer and hit it, they would still survive. Heck, if you put it in an oven, it would still survive. If you froze it in a block of ice and thawed it out, it would still survive. They're pretty survivable, and because of that, they've been around for a really long time. You know, when there were threats of a nuclear war in the 1980s, people would joke that only 2 things would survive the nuclear war: Twinkies and cockroaches. The funny part is that since Twinkies, a popular dessert food, were so loaded with preservatives that if there was radiation all over the place, they would still taste good. The freakiest thing about cockroaches is that they can live for a week without their head, which is weird because, how do they think? How does their heart still beat? In fact, in order to really kill a cockroach, you would have to throw it in a fire or something. Or take an axe and smash it to bits. But they are also a real pest. They're really hard to get rid of because normally there are a lot of them. If you live in the southern United States, they'll nest under your floorboards. I was going to the bathroom once at my cousin's house in Phoenix, and what do I see while I'm going to pee? A cockroach slide out from under the wall, so it like crawls underneath the wall, which is such a tiny space it shouldn't even be possible to do it, and then slides underneath the other wall. And I was really scared because I don't like bugs, but that's crazy. And they also cause allergies for some children and spread germs, so they're bad news. How do we get rid of them? Well, some people say that if you spread this special type of powder called boric acid around the cracks of the floorboards, it's like cleans out roaches, like literally it like dissolves other organs and stuff. Not that I don't think it has any organs, so if you can cut off its head and it'll still survive, then I don't think it has many vital organs. But it'll like kill it and make it only like just a little bit of cockroach dust left, which is pretty gross. But there's a really gross way to actually get rid of slugs. This is really gross. If you have some old blender you're gonna throw out, but you have slugs in your garden, don't throw it out. Instead, collect a bunch of slugs, blend them in there. Yes, this is really disgusting. And then add a little bit of mint for added destruction, and put it in one of those spray bottles. It'll kill slugs on a touch. Yeah, pretty disgusting. But for you get rid of disgusting things with this. Well, guys, that's all. Thanks for listening to the Johncast. Remember, the green Fruit Loop counts as a vegetable. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. And see you next Monday.